and avoid vague terms. Very, very important. Easy to use. It should be easy to use. I would like to have this application, easy to learn for new users. What does that mean? What is look and feel? It should have a great, simple look and feel. I want this application to be simple to look at for users. So what does that mean? Can you give me an example? So we as BAs need to kind of get into the details of these. We cannot just leave these things hanging in the mid-air. We should actually get them down to the ground, make sure that we peg them down. We give some examples, we give some numbers, we give some specifics that we can measure. So that's where we talk about, if you say that, for example, easy to use. So advanced users, people who've been using this application for quite some time, should be able to complete some tasks. For example, adding a new user or creating a contact in your phone, for example. It should be able to, you should do that in, for example, under 1 minute. So that's a task. So that's measurable, and that actually gives you an idea in terms of how easy it is to do that task. Again, bear in mind there is different, this kind of ease of use could be different for existing users who are experienced when compared, for example, with new users or novice users who've got no idea. So they need some amount of training, for instance. So users should be able to start using the contact management functionality after they go through 3-minute training demo, blah, blah, blah. So for example, things like ATM, how to use ATM card for your bank card for doing the transaction, withdraw the amount from an ATM machine or the cash machine. So that's the task. So you don't expect people to go through the training after about 4 days, they then go and perform this. So it's not something, that kind of a product. So this product was aimed at people with different experiences, different background, different educational qualifications, and different awareness of applications as well. So that's why you need to make it in such a way that it's easy for new users, people who are not familiar with similar technologies, also to be able to learn quickly. Same with shopping experience as well. So some of the things that we have got in online shopping, for instance, I was giving this example about how Amazon actually kind of broke this whole thing of online shopping behavior and experience into that simple step of having catalogs, being able to select the items from the catalog, push them into a shopping cart or a shopping order, and then checking the order out, give the payment information, give the billing information or the delivery information, close it. So this is basically about 3 to 4 steps. But I can still remember there are quite a few websites out there about a good 10, 15 years ago, where they were not following any standards. So initially they were asking people to sign in. And then once you sign in, you need to give the payment information first. You need to give your credit card or the debit card, your account information. Then you need to give your address, and then you need to verify. And after that, you can try and you can create an order. Then you add the items to the cart. So there's so many complications. It's not 3-step process. It's definitely about 15 steps. And there's a lot of verifications, a lot of handoff, a lot of offline things happening. So people obviously get frustrated with that. People like to do things simple. There's a book by the name Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. Very, very relevant in the context of how we need to design the websites or products nowadays, digital products as well. Talks about how you should not overcomplicate things. And Steve Krug, the author, he says that for any task or anything like that, it should be really simple and intuitive to be able to actually do something without even thinking. So initially, for example, I would just to use my own example. So you start learning a car. Initially, you have not driven a car before, so you actually need to understand what the steering is, how is the steering control is, the ABC, the accelerator, brake, clutch, the sequence, which one is what, and all that stuff. You need to understand all these things. So you're all through your learning with the driving instructor, you're conscious initially about where the clutch is, how hard you should press, what's the pressure on the accelerator that you should try and apply, what's the pressure on the brake to bring the car to the stop quickly. You get a hang of this over a period of time. And once you start driving, for example, now you've been driving for 4 years, do you think the same as you did before when you were learning? You're not really consciously spending so much time on understanding the pressure or doing this. It just happens automatically. So there's quite a few things that we do automatically without even thinking when we try and use some of the products. And that's where I think user experience comes into play. How you're structuring the tasks, how you're making it really simple. That is what is the product design all about. So we should try and focus on this aspect of the simplicity of making sure that we develop products which are simple to use, which are not really complicated, makes you start thinking, how should I do this? How should you do this? So that's again depends on the type of product. Obviously, you can't expect like for example, if it's a fridge, repairing a fridge, for instance, doesn't you can't expect this person to not understand the components of a fridge, where the coolant and what are the pipeline, the structures and everything. So that's a different context. So basically, that's what in the technical terms we call it as basically the mental map or the cognitive map. So each of us as users, we've got one map or one conceptual map about everything in this world. So the first thing that we do is, for example, if it's a car, we know that it has got this whole, the structure, the frame, then you've got three tires, and how does a car, we all know that, that's a conceptual map. But we can't have the same conceptual map when you're trying to repair, or when you're trying to address some problem. So then you're actually donning the hat of, let's say, a car mechanic who needs to understand more the internals of a car. So as a driver, your understanding of a car is completely different from that of a mechanic. So as a mechanic, that's where user stories would come into help. So you should try and really try and structure your requirements from the context of the actual users. As a user, I would like to do this. As a driver, or as a mechanic, as an administrator, so on.